Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another in my series of videos about how to pass an advanced driving test. And in this video we're going to look at progress versus restraint. So progress and restraint are both sides of the same coin really, and I'm going to give you my definition of both of those elements and then tell you what the different organisations will be looking for in relation to progress and restraint. Progress, I'll make this really simple actually. Progress is simply just getting on with it. It's not faffing about. A lot of people think that progress is about driving the car really quickly, and certainly if you're doing your police advanced car course with that exemption from speed limits, then driving really progressively and really quickly is a big element of that test. It's an important element of that test. You've got to show that you can drive the car progressively at quite high speeds at time. But actually, when it comes to your civilian advanced driving test and other elements of your police driving test as well, maybe you're doing your police standard car course, we're still looking for you to make progress. And it really just means that, not faffing about, getting on with it. Get in the car, drive it, get where you want to go. So one simple way of describing that, if you're doing a civilian advanced driving test, is I'm on a national speed limit road now. It's a single carriageway road and the speed limit on here is 60 miles an hour. Now if there is no reason not to do 60 miles an hour, then that's what I want to be doing. Now there are a few reasons today. It's absolutely hammering it down. There's bits of standing water about. There's other vehicles that might be going slowly and all the rest of it, but at the moment I'm doing 60 miles an hour because it is appropriate. So I'm making maximum progress that I'm allowed to make within the rules. I'm not going daft, I'm not exceeding that speed limit. There's a sign there warning us of a dual carriageway half a mile ahead. Now once it gets to national speed limit dual carriageway, the speed limit will increase to 70 miles an hour. And I'll weigh that up when I get there and see if that's appropriate. But it might not be. That extra 10 miles an hour when there's standing water on the road can make a real difference to the stability of the car. So if I decide not to increase my speed to 70, and I don't think I will actually in these conditions, then I'm showing restraint. It's the other side of that progress coin. I'm showing restraint because I'm just a bit wary of some of the areas up ahead where there's standing water. This fella's not wary about it at all. He's hammering on. But these areas of standing water can really catch you out if you're not careful. So I'm showing a little bit of restraint, holding back a little bit, just keeping that extra 10 miles an hour off the speed. Even though I'm allowed to do it, doesn't mean that you should. So here's the tip with restraint. What it basically means is just because you can do something doesn't always mean that you should. Now driving progressively means that if we're on a national speed limit road and we come up behind something that's travelling significantly slower than us, then I want you to look for the opportunity to overtake. And if the opportunity is on and it's presenting itself and it's a really nice, straightforward, easy overtake where you will think to yourself, well, why wouldn't I take this overtake? Then I want you to take it. But remember what I said about overtaking. You don't have to get an overtaking on advanced car test. The opportunity might not present itself. Even on a police advanced car test where you put under pressure all the time to get the overtakes in where it's safe and where it's on. I had people back in my days in police driver training where they just not a single overtaking opportunity presented itself to the driver on test and they passed because they've done everything else correctly and they've got on with it and they've driven progressively. Now progress isn't just about the speed that you're choosing to drive at on the road as well. Progress can be about intelligent use of lanes when you're in a busy traffic environment. So say you're in a town, it's 2 lanes up to a set of traffic lights, they both go straight ahead and we're going straight ahead. Which lane do you choose? Well, always take the lane of least resistance. That's the lane with the least traffic in it. If there's 10 cars in the left hand lane and 2 cars in the right hand lane, go in the right hand lane because you're making maximum progress. The chances are those lights will change back to red soon after they've gone to green. If you go in the lane with the queue, you may well get caught at the lights again, and that's really impeding on your progress. Progress isn't just about driving fast, it's about being intelligent at junctions. Remember the little saying about roundabouts, we're planning to stop, but we're looking to go. So we don't stop at every roundabout. We don't stop and wait and look for a gap. We roll up to a roundabout, we'll look for an opportunity, and when we see a gap, we take an appropriate gear and we accelerate into that gap on the roundabout. Now, if the traffic's busy, then we're going to have to stop. But most times, if you get it right, you shouldn't need to stop at a roundabout. That's driving progressively, it's driving intelligently, it's getting on with it, it's not faffing about. Some people on advanced car test are really quite cautious about overtaking cyclists. Don't be. Overtake them in the same way you would overtake any other vehicle. Make sure you give them the appropriate amount of space when you pull out to pass them. But remember, when you're approaching a cyclist, plan to follow them, but look to pass them. Don't plan to overtake them. Don't make that your first plan. Your first plan should be to follow the cyclist. That way you won't end up coming in really hard on the brakes because all of a sudden something's coming to view and we can't pass them. Come in behind them, roll up behind them. When you see the opportunity to pass them, move out, squirt past them and give them plenty of space. Give them that minimum of, is it 1.5 metres they're talking about in the highway code now? Don't be scared of accelerating. Use your car's acceleration. There's no laws that limit how hard you can accelerate. I mean, I'm not saying get silly and get your wheels spinning and smoke coming off them or anything like that, but there's no regulations, British traffic law, that say you can only accelerate at a certain rate. So if you're driving progressively, you're making best use of that car's ability to accelerate. Don't be afraid of pressing that gas pedal. But at the same time, you should know when it's not appropriate to accelerate hard. When the road surface might be slippery. It's cold morning, for example, when the road might be icy. Even today, where there's a lot of standing water about, I'm not going to use maximum acceleration in this car because I don't want to destabilise it. That's showing restraint. It's the other side of the coin. So what are the different motoring organisations? What are the police looking for in relation to progress and restraint? Well, IM Road Smart and ROSPA, if you're looking to get a pass at IM level, or a bronze or a silver at ROSPA level, then they're looking for you to drive reasonably progressively, to get on with it, not faff about too much. Try and be decisive at junctions. Don't wait for the world's biggest gap, just look for a gap that's appropriate for you to pull out into. Remember, when we're making those moves, we don't want to force somebody else to have to change the course or speed. But if the gap is big enough to pull out with a little bit of acceleration, then do it. Don't sit there waiting for a long gap forever. If you're looking to get a first at IM Road Smart or a gold at ROSPA, then we're looking for a particularly progressive drive. We want to see you getting on with it within the confines of the rules and regulations and speed limits. We want to see you getting on with it. You see you driving the car up to the speed limits where it's appropriate, but also being cautious in built up areas, showing restraint where you need to. And if that overtake presents itself, if you want to get a first or a gold, well, take it. If it's obvious and it's safe, take that overtake. For the police, it's slightly different. For the police, there's much more of a progressive element, especially on your advanced car course. They're looking for you to make maximum progress. You're going to drive as quick as it's safe to go. And at times, believe me, it is safe to do 150 miles an hour. Speed doesn't kill. It's the stopping that kills you up against a tree or a bridge. So in the police, they'll be using that speed exemption and they'll want to see you making maximum progress where it's safe to do so. But at the same time, this is where that element of adhering to the other rules and regulations comes in. They'll expect you to stick to the 30 limits and the 40 limits. They're not going to blanket use that speed exemption. We wouldn't be flying through here, for example. That's where you show restraint. That's where you show a level of professionalism. And where you set a good example on the roads. Now, if you're responding to an incident, if you're using the exemptions operationally, that's slightly different. You know, you're entitled to drive through here at whatever speed you want, even though it's a 30 limit, but you're still responsible for your own actions. So remember that. Remember, you're not exempt from, you know, careless driving or dangerous driving. But on your police advanced car course, yeah, definitely looking for you to make maximum progress along the road where it's safe to do so. And that should be throughout the drive. Remember, don't switch off. This is the mistake a lot of people make on that test. They switch off, they go, oh, there's no opportunities here, I'll just sit and relax. Those driving courses don't come round very often. Make the most of the opportunity, make the most of it. It might be a while before you get another one if you don't pass the first time. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful. Don't forget to go and have a look at the website, reglocal.com. Loads more information there about advanced and performance driving and riding. Information about the books that I've written and about how you can get a day's driver or rider coaching with me if you fancy a drive out or a ride out. But for now, from an extremely wet Cumbria, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.